Okay, this is going to be an alternative to Lesson 7, done a little different than the book. First thing we're going to do, select the pen tool. Then I'll just zoom in, pan over using the space bar. And I'm going to use the path operations and use combined shapes. And I'm going to put the least amount of points as possible to try to outline the shape of this cup. So I'll leave the template on here. And I'll use my pen tool, turning the pen as I go. And I'm going to miss those last 2 points, try to get that curve. But I'm not going to be too concerned if I don't get the exact outline of the cup right now. I'm going to come back to it and make fixes using the direct selection tool. So right there I got that loop, and I'm going to come around this handle and see if I can do this in the least amount of points. So see, I'm skipping some of the points on the template, and I close off the shape right there. And then I go to my direct selection tool, and I can work the handle, zoom in a little bit here, turn off the template, and then I'll just kind of work these handles. And as I move them, and I'm going to switch over to the convert anchor point tool so I can break the seesaw of the handle. So I just move one side of the handle at a time. These are Bezier handles. I get that curve, and find the least amount of points, you're going to get the smoothest curve. So this bottom part of the cup, just want a nice smooth curve. I do that with 2 points. I'll break the handles. I'll bring this in a little bit, adjust the points. So you're adjusting, moving things around, and you're just trying to follow that contour of the outside of the cup. If you have to add points, you can, underneath where the pen tool is, you can click the add points part of the pen tool and add a point there. Or if you have too many points, you can subtract points. Like I said, it really works the best with the least amount of points to get those smoother curves. That curve there, there's a little bit of a bump down at the bottom of the handle. I'll try to come back and fix. And you hold the space bar to pan around when I'm in tight like this, but just go to adjust it, maybe slide the points over a little, move the handle, you just kind of working it as best you can. It takes a little practice, it could be kind of like watching paint dry to see somebody do this, but the more practice, the more comfortable you'll be with it. I get a nice curve along the bottom here, pull this out a little bit, tuck this. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to come over back to my layers, turn off the image and look at it. That looks good. I'm going to come back to my paths and deselect in this open area, then click back on the path shape. Now those points aren't selected. I got to go back to my pen tool, and then I'm going to go to path operations and subtract front shape. So now I'm going to draw the interior of this handle, make that so we have a cut out that hole. So I'll click here, make sure click there, click here. Now it looks like the shape isn't working right when this let go, but it is. So I'll add this other point up at the top, make that curve, and then come around and close off the shape. I get that circle to the right of the pen tool that says I'm closing off the shape. Then I'll work between my direct selection tool and my convert point tool to finish off this shape, and back to the convert point tool, just kind of working again, getting used to working with those Bezier handles. Pull out both of them, then I do one side so I can move one side at a time. Back to my direct selection tool, and you're just working it, trying again, least amount of points, kind of work them, maybe move the points if you have to. Do that. So now I'll go back to the layers. I'll turn off the background. That's what I have. So now I want to fill it. So I'm going to deselect and then select that layer again. And I'm going to come up to the fill, but I need to select my pen tool first. So let me see. I'll come over, select my pen tool, come back up to the fill at the top, and I'm going to fill that with the black. And then I'm going to go over to my stroke and make it so there's no stroke on there. And so I have the shape filled black, and select off there, and as I pull back I have this shape, so I'm going to deselect and select again, and now I want to convert this to shape. So I'm going to go to define custom shape, so I can define this cup as a shape, and I'm going to call it the coffee cup. And I got that. Say OK. And then as I go to my my custom shape tool, was located underneath the rectangle tool, as I activate that, then I can see my custom shapes up here, and there's the cup I just made. So I pan down, and there it is. That's the cup shape I just made. Those are shapes that come with the program, my cup shape. So now I switch back over to my layers, and if I turn my background on, I see that's the shape there, but I don't need to see that shape right now, so I'm going to turn that off. The template layers were there. I'm turning everything off except for the background, which is the cup and the sky and the table. And I select my custom shapes, and then my cup is selected here, and I'm going to hold the shift key and draw this shape out so it draws out in proportion. And there's the shape of the cup, and I'll size it about that size here, and it fills in. We see the points are activated, so I want to deactivate those points again. I'm going to zoom in, pan over. Okay, so now that I have this shape, I am going to draw that lightning bolt here in the center. So see, the points are active, so I want to come back over to my paths panel over here on the right and click on the paths, and then I want to select the points by clicking in this open area, but I'm going to select back on the path shape. I need to select that path shape again, and then my custom shapes are activated, so I am going to come up to the top to my subtract front shape from here and choose subtract front shape. That will allow me to choose this lightning bolt icon that's in my custom shapes, and I'll take that and drag that out from the corner. And I don't need to hold the shift key. I could if I wanted to, but I'll drag it to size it to where I want. The proportions here aren't that critical, but because I chose subtract front shape, it will cut a hole in my shape there, because I had that shape path activated. So that's why I cut a hole in that shape. So I'm going to come back to my layers, and I am going to look at this, and I'm going to want to add my text. So I am going to come up to add my text. I'll zoom out to see how this looks on my screen, and as I pan over, you see the cup in here. And I'm going to place the link text. It's an EPS file that came with here. So as I go in here, I'm going to find the logo, type EPS, select that. As I highlight it, place become active. I'll place that in the file. It comes in smaller. I'm going to move it up. It is an EPS file, so I can scale it up. Hold the shift key so it scales in proportion. I'll move it so I get my smart lines, show me I line up the centers, looks good, eyeball the distance apart, and height, so it's all eyeball right here. I check it to approve that, and I have that. Now I want to fill it with a color, and I'll switch. I get this red, and I'll go to my paint bucket underneath the gradient tool, but that won't fill the paint bucket because it's a EPS shape. So what I need to do is use an effect to do it. I can double click on the layer, or you click on the effects with that layer highlighted, and I want to do color overlay. So I click on color overlay here, and it brings up my layers panel, and default this bright red is here, but I'm going to use my eyedropper, pick a color from the cup. Color kind of matches the cup, a little more of a maroon or burgundy red there, so I got that deeper color red for the cup. And then I'm going to do the bevel and emboss. So I click on the bevel and emboss, and you see, put that on the type there. I click there. Those are I could change the settings, but I'm going to leave it the default settings for now. So I'm going to say OK, accept the color, and now I want to put this effects, the color and the color overlay and the bevel effect, onto the coffee cup shape. And because it's a shape, I need to use that color overlay effect. So let me name this. I'm going to call it my small coffee cup. Maybe number 1, because it's the upper left. You can do those other coffee cups at the bottom later. So now I'm going to copy those effects. So as I select it, I'm going to hold my Alt key or Option key and drag that onto the small coffee cup. So as I drag it on there, the effects are applied, but you have to hold your Alt or Option key as you drag those on there. So now I have those on there, and I got the lesson completed, but they showed those coffee cups down at the bottom. so you can look at the book to add those coffee cups on the bottom, along the bottom there, and see how that's done. But you got to practice with the pen tool. It's a different way of drawing. You know, you add the points and adjust with the Bezier handles, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become with it. And I hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.